to Google, dinosaurs lived during 3 periods of the Mesozoic era: the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods. Now, the Triassic period is when the first dinosaurs walked on land, and the ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs swam in the ocean. The lineage of many modern-day reptiles began, including crocodiles, lizards, and turtles. So, with that said, according to Google, apart from the Mesozoic era, the other major geological eras are the Paleozoic era, meaning ancient life, and the Cenozoic era, meaning recent life. This is from Google. Now, the Paleozoic era is the era before the Mesozoic and is characterized by the emergence of the diverse marine invertebrates and early vertebrates. And the Cenozoic era, this era follows the Mesozoic and is remarked by the dominance of mammals, including large mammals like woolly mammoths. So the Paleozoic era is when everything was being created, and the Cenozoic era is after the flood, so the Ice Age. Going back to the dinosaurs, it says that dinosaurs lived during 3 periods of the Mesozoic, which are the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous. Now, in the Triassic period, the dinosaurs first walked on land, and the pterodactyls or plesiosaurs flew. That's what it's saying on Triassic. It's also saying that the first ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs swam in the ocean, and the lineage of many modern-day reptiles began in the Triassic period. Then in the Jurassic period, it says that dinosaurs dominated life on land, and the supercontinent Pangea broke apart. Shallow seas covered some of the land. Huge sauropods, herbivores, and carnivores emerged, such as the Diplodocus and the Allosaurus. Then it goes on to the Cretaceous period, where it says the longest of the 3 periods of the Mesozoic era. The continents completely separated, and dinosaurs and other life forms evolved independently of each other. So now it says on the Paleogene extinction event. It says a catastrophic event that wiped out over 75% of all living species, including many dinosaurs, and 66 million years ago. On the Cretaceous period, the Paleogene extinction event, that's what closed off the Cretaceous period and brought forth the Ice Age, or after the Ice Age. After the flood, so the Ice Age. So I'm going to read a passage from Genesis chapter 1, verse 20. It says, "And God said, let the water teem with living creatures, and let the birds fly above the earth, across the vault of the sky. So God created the great creatures of the sea, and every living thing with which the water teems, and that moves about in it, according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, and said, be fruitful, and increase in number, and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening, and there was morning, and this was the 5th day. So on the 5th day, the birds and the fish were created. Remember that. Now this is Genesis chapter 1 verse 24. And God said, "Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind." And it was so. And God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. And so, in verse 26, it says, "Then God said, Let us make man in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea, and the birds in the sky." The birds in the sky came before, and the fish too. So, it goes on to say, "So they may rule over the fish in the sea, and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." And God saw that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, and it was the sixth day. So on the sixth day, man was created, along with the wild beasts of the earth, which of the land came from the ground. But the birds and the fish, they came from the sea. So would it be safe to assume that the Triassic period would be the sixth day of creation? So now going to the good part, where I will head into the Jurassic period, which where the dinosaurs dominated life on the land. Supercontinent Pangea broke apart, and shallow seas covered some of the land. Huge sauropod herbivores and carnivores emerged, such as Diplodocus and Allosaurus. This is from Google. So the supercontinent Pangea broke apart. That's one of the biggest things in history. So I want to make this point clear. So this is going back to Genesis chapter 1. This is verse 11 going down. It's actually the third day when plants were created. But there was one tree that was created, and it's that point that split the continents. So just listen. Verse 11, "Then God said, Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and trees on the land that bear fruit and with seed in it, according to their various kinds. And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kind. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, and this was the third day." Now the third day of creation, this big tree was created. Now this tree is also found in Daniel chapter 4. "These are the visions I saw while lying in bed. I looked, and there before me stood a tree in the middle of the land. Its height was enormous. The tree grew large and strong, and its top touched the sky. It was visible to the ends of the earth. Its leaves were beautiful, its fruit abundant, and on it was food for all. Under it the wild animals found shelter, and the birds lived in its branches. From it every creature was fed. Now this same tree, which was created on the third day of creation, is found in the book of Ezekiel." Let me show you. Book of Ezekiel, chapter 31, verse 3. "Who can compare with you in majesty? Consider Assyria, once a cedar in Lebanon," which, by the way, was the cedar in Lebanon, which is now, it's stump, its root, is now Lebanon and anti-Lebanon. But I'll get back to that. So, who can be compared with you in majesty? Consider Assyria, once a cedar in Lebanon, with beautiful branches overshadowing the forest. It towered on high, its top above the thick foliage. The waters nourished it, deep springs made it grow tall, their streams flowed all around its base and sent their channels to all the trees of the field. It towered higher than all the trees of the field. Its boughs increased and its branches grew long, spreading because of the abundant waters. Going to verse 8, it says, "The cedars in the garden of God could not rival it, nor could the junipers equal its boughs." Now it says, the cedars in the garden of God. Now you can see this tree. This is Lebanon, and anti-Lebanon at one point. You can see this tree from the Garden of Eden. Now, the Garden of Eden was covered with big trees back then. But even this tree, which pierced the sky, could be seen from all the way over there. Now, I'll show on a clip of where it was and how it fell on Cyprus. And going on, it says in verse 10, "Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says, because the great cedar towered over the thick foliage, and because it was proud in its height, I gave it to the hand of the ruler of the nations, for him to deal with. According to its wickedness, I cast it aside, and the most ruthless of foreign nations cut it down and left it. Its boughs fell on the mountains and in all the valleys. Its branches lay broken in all the ravines of the land." So it fell. And when it fell, the nations cried because it hit so hard that this is what split the continents. So we didn't have Pangea anymore. We had what we have now. But it was different because it was still Pangea and everything wasn't drifting. It was just the beginning of the sorrow. Jared to Noah. That's Jared, then Enoch, then Methuselah, then Lamech, then Noah. Those are 4 generations from Jared. But in the days of Jared, that's when the angels went and mated with the daughters of men. So they're known as the sons of God because they're light beings, spiritual beings. But it's in the days of Noah when the earth was flooded. So that's 4 generations from Jared. You got the end of the Mesozoic era and the beginning of the Cenozoic era, which it says here on Google that is marked by the dominance of mammals, including large mammals like woolly mammoths. So what happened? Ice Age. That's what happened after. So here's my theory. We were walking with dinosaurs. They left their mark. And then there was a flood. And then came the Ice Age. But this tree was what split the continents. And it was so big that it pierced the sky. So, like Thor said, a little bit of magic and a little bit of science. Why? Because things would float up there, because it was space. That was the world tree, and that was or is the emblem for Lebanon, which is Lebanon and anti-Lebanon now, it stunk. And it fell on Cyprus, and a piece of its branch that pierced Cyprus became Mount Olympus. And that piece doesn't match any of the sediment from the rest of that island. So, yeah. So, Methuselah was the father of Lamech. And Lamech lived 969 years. Now, remember this. Lamech is Noah's father. So Lamech is the one that the angel came to share him a secret. What was that mystery? Well, in chapter 88, it says, Then one of the four went to the white cows and taught them a mystery. While the cow was trembling, it was born, and became a man, and fabricated for himself a large ship. In this he dwelt, and 3 cows dwelt with him in that ship, which covered them. So then in chapter 10 it says, Then the Most High, the Great and Holy One, spoke and sent Arasailair to the son of Lamech. The son of Lamech is Noah. And this angel said to Lamech, saying to him, In my name, conceal thyself. Then explain to him the consumption which is about to take place. For all the earth shall perish, and the waters of the deluge shall come over the whole earth, and all things in it shall be destroyed. And teach him how he may escape, and how his seed may remain. So, this angel, our sailor, came to Lamech and told him, told Lamech that he's going to conceal himself in Noah's body. So when Arasailair was born, that was Noah. So Lamech's dad starts freaking out, and it says here in the book of Enoch, this is verse 10 in chapter 105. And now, my father, hear me, for my son Lamech, a child has been born, who resembles not him, and whose nature is not like the nature of man. His color is whiter than snow. He is redder than the rose. The red hair of his head is whiter. The hair of his head is whiter than white wool. His eyes are like rays of the sun, and when he opened them, he illuminated the whole house. So his eyes literally light up the house, because he was an angel in a body, in a human body. But this Lamech's wife was already pregnant, and this was the only way. So he covered himself in flesh and became born. And when also he was taken from the hand of the midwife, he opened his mouth and blessed the Lord of heaven. So when he was born, he was singing. He was blessing the Lord when he was born. His father Lamech feared and fled to me, believing not that the child belonged to him, but that he resembled the angels of heaven. And behold, I am come to thee, that thou mightest point me to the truth. So that was the secret that was shared, and he was freaking out about it, and that's what they were saying. Then later on in the book of Enoch, it says, I explained and seen in a vision, I have shown thee that in the generations of Jared, my father, those who were from heaven disregarded the word of the Lord. Behold, they committed crimes, laid aside their class, and intermingled with women. With them also they transgressed, married with them, and begot children. So it says that in the generations of Jared, my father. And then on 14a, in verse 14 of this chapter, it says, a great destruction therefore shall come upon all the earth, a deluge, a great destruction shall take place in 1 year. And then in 15, a child which is born to you shall survive on the earth, and his 3 sons shall be saved with him. When all mankind who are on the earth shall die, he shall be saved. So, through Noah came giants after the flood, because he was part angel. So it goes on to say, and his posterity shall beget on the earth giants, not spiritual but carnal beings. So through Noah came giants. Upon the earth shall a great punishment be inflicted, and it shall be washed from all corruption. Now therefore inform thy son Lamech that he who is born is a child in truth, and he shall call his name Noah, for he shall be to you a survivor. So with the Cenozoic era, which follows the Mesozoic era, which is just after the Cretaceous period, there was an event in between the two, and it's marked in the Book of Enoch. Check it out. The Book of Enoch, chapter 66, verse 10 and down. And as the inflammation of their bodies shall be great, so shall be their spirits undergo a change forever. For no word which is uttered before the Lord of spirits shall be in vain. Judgment has come upon them because they trusted in their carnal revelry and denied the Lord of spirits. In those days shall the waters of the valley be changed, for when the angels shall be judged, then shall the heat of the springs of the water experience an altercation. And when the angels shall ascend, the water of the springs shall again undergo a change and be frozen. Then I heard holy Michael answering and saying, this judgment with which the angels shall be judged shall bear testimony against the kings and princes of those who possess the earth. For the waters of judgment shall be for their healing and for the death of their bodies, but they shall not perceive and believe that the waters will be changed and become a fire which ablaze forever. And overall, we all know that the number one ingredient to petrify wood is sulfuric acid. Just remember that. Chapter 7 of the Book of Enoch, it says in verse 1, it happened after the sons of men had multiplied in those days, that the daughters were born to them, elegant and beautiful. And when the angels, the sons of heaven, beheld them, they became enamored of them, saying to each other, come, let us select for ourselves wives from the progeny of men, and let us beget children. So, going back to Noah, Genesis chapter 6. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Which brings me to this. Now, Noah, who was half human, half angel, was doing what he was supposed to do. And he begat 3 children, but he was being fruitful and multiplying. Now, with his offspring, they were carnal beings, because they weren't spiritual beings like the Nephilim, or the ones that the angels came and created. After the giants that they had passed, they became genies. But the giants that came from Noah's offspring, from his bloodline, those were regular people, and from his bloodline came the giants. In chapter 104, I believe, or chapter 105, it says in verse 14 of the book of Enoch, "A great destruction therefore shall come upon all the earth, a deluge, a great destruction shall take place in 1 year. This child which is born to you shall survive on the earth, and his 3 sons shall be saved with him, when all mankind on earth shall die." So at what point in time was this being said? And it says a year, and saying this child which is born to you. So the child which is born to you, is it saying a deluge shall take place in 1 year? Is that when the tree fell? Did Noah grow up in 1 year and have kids? Because, I mean, he's half angel, so I don't know is that a typo? Did they mean, but it's in the book of Enoch, so there's a lot there. And the Bible is actually, was the people who were writing the Bible that we have now, were using the book of Enoch, which was their Bible at that point in time. And it's quoted in many verses in the Bible, also in the book of Jude. So that was their Bible at that point in time. So I just wanted to question that. But other than that, yeah, that should tell you everything. If you know that, then you can start finding the treasure. And I'm still wondering about the history of Arizona, when these were islands. How long was the water up for? That's pretty much what I want to know. We don't know much about when they were islands, and how long were they islands for, and what creatures were lurking about. Now, the Paleozoic era is the 5th day of creation, because times back then were different. See our whole rotation? Did it change? So Paleozoic era, that's the 5th day. Then came the Mesozoic era, which was the 6th day of creation. So on the 6th day we enter the Mesozoic era, which begins with the Triassic period, which it says the first dinosaurs walked on land and the first petrosaurs flew. And then in the Jurassic period, that's when the Assyrian cedar fell. And that's when we got Lebanon and anti-Lebanon. So that's the Jurassic period. So, and then here on Google it says the Cretaceous period came next, which was the longest of the three periods of the Mesozoic era, and the continents completely separated. And then from there, after that came the flood, which marked a new era, which would be the Cenozoic era, and this era follows the Mesozoic and is marked by the dominance of mammals, including large mammals like woolly mammoths. Like I said, that's the Ice Age. So that's your history, and yeah, I did it.